Can BTC claim the big 100K psychological level, or is Ethereum actually leading the move with hitting key major resistance? I'm going to give you my perspective on BTC and Ethereum, and especially if you're trading Ethereum, you want to watch this video till the end because I'm going to show you a major key resistance Ethereum is about to hit any minute today. So let's jump into Bitcoin first and have a look at where we are bouncing off of. And once again, for this we have to refer back to the higher time frame, because something we should not forget about is a previous well-defined channel. I've been talking about this quite a few times already. This is the channel from the 69,000 previous all-time highs. So connecting these two highs to this low, we can see Bitcoin finally broke out of this massive channel, which has been respected over years, right? So here we can see the first clean retest of this channel, and now we've actually seen a second retest of this level. This is even more obvious when we go down to the even lower time frame, such as the daily. So we can see this line right here is the top of the channel, and it has been retested once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So we can clearly see Bitcoin is making an attempt to hold this previous channel high. Now, in the last video, I was talking about the liquidity below 90,000. This is still a level of interest for me. But I was also talking about one short trade, which was here around this trend or this anchored VWAP downtrend. Okay, so pulling an anchored VWAP from the current all-time high, and I was looking at this zone as a major resistance. So what we can see here is that we indeed found resistance. And something you might want to note down is that whenever we form all-time highs, it can be on Bitcoin or any other altcoin. Pulling an anchored VWAP from an all-time high or a very significant low has a very, very good probability to see a reaction, and that is what we have seen right here. So if I might remind you of the setup that was shared publicly on YouTube in this video down here. So I was looking at a short trade around the daily and weekly NPOC. I was allowing price to even take the liquidity above the high, and then I wanted to target the 90,000 zone. So we can see 90,000 has been front run, but there was also a nice long trade to be had down here based off a local range. And there's one thing I really want to clarify here. So as a trader, my job is to identify areas of high confluence where I am interested in participating in the markets. But what I can't do is predict whether the market is moving to the upside or to the downside first. I can simply make myself ready and prepare myself for if we either see a rise to the upside or a drop to the downside, and what I am going to do in that specific scenario. So while we were still trading down here, I was able to identify this resistance and a support below. But that doesn't mean that I'm taking a long trade because I'm expecting a rise, or I'm taking a short trade because I'm expecting the 90,000 to be taken, right? I'm simply waiting for my levels to be hit. Don't try to predict where price is going to go first, and then simply react to what the market is showing me. So as a little bit of context, price was then forming a nice local range. Let me redo that real quick. So price was forming this range right here, and this is where me and the champion members entered some nice short trades. So the short trade that I gave was exactly this right here. And there's one theory we teach inside Chart Champions, and that is correlated with liquidity. So we always look at liquidity grabs. And we can see this level down here was a nice liquidity grab, and I was at least targeting to take the opposite side of the range in terms of liquidity. So we can see if one, we've hit or taken the liquidity to the upside. So I might want to look for the liquidity towards the downside, which was sitting at $92,000. So we can see price made its way to the downside, and there's one thing I want to clarify here or explain simply by looking at plain price action. Okay, so if you take anything away from the level from this video, and that is how to mark out these levels, you're going to be way ahead of the curve. So This is looking at simple price action and identifying supply and demand zones. You can use that to identify areas of resistance and areas of support, but also read context in terms of, are we seeing strength or weakness? So after hitting that liquidity, entering the short trade, we've seen the following. We formed a nice demand zone here. We lost it, retested. Okay, so demand zone flipping into supply. That is already a sign of weakness. For me, I was compounding my short trade here. Then I saw the same happening again. We formed a nice demand zone. We lost it, flipped demand into supply. For me, that was even another compound on my trade because I was pretty confident that we're going to hit that liquidity down here at $92,000. And then we can see that once again. So here we formed another demand zone, lost it, flipped it into supply, and finally we've taken the liquidity. So what I want to explain you here is that how you can read context simply by following these supply and demand zones. Down here, this was obviously the medium-term time frame channel low, and as champion members, we always look for long trades at these channel or these SFPs or failed auctions at channel lows. So that was a nice day trading long. That was exclusively given to our champions members. You can see it here in the daily update from actually Christmas. So I was doing a daily update in the morning, was looking or giving a little bit of a Christmas present here. That was the long trade at $92,000, and we can see how perfectly that played out, following exactly my scenario here, taking the range high again. But that is enough of a recap on what was happening on Bitcoin. One thing we can agree on probably is that we are trading in a little bit of a range on Bitcoin. So the moves are quite nice. It is pretty well-defined levels, but nothing too crazy is happening here. So I want to give you my key levels of resistance for the upcoming week. And there's one I have to be aware of. That is our previous high from where I've taken the short trade, and that is lining up with the 100,000 psychological level. So what I want to do here is call this a key level and simply mark it out as 100,000. So 100,000, that is going to be my key level. And the way I would enter a trade here is very simply, I want to see, are we SFPing this high? If yes, then I have a local trade. Okay, this is not going to be a swing trade. For me, this would only be a scalp trade / day trade. Okay, so if we SFP 100K, I'm interested in a short trade. I like this setup just because it's very, very simple. However, that is not my key resistance for the upcoming week, and that is looking more towards a rise into 104 to 105,000. Okay, so up here, we do have a weekly sitting on a daily naked point of control. And if you follow along on my videos, I'm always very big on price location. So I always want to see a major resistance or support lining up with nice price location, as in at least the 6.6 retracement or up to the 7.5 preferably. And here for that weekly, we can see it's lining up perfectly with the 7.5. So that definitely is going to be key resistance for this week. I can mark it out. I'm going to place an alert right here. I will check the reaction there. But I have to be prepared for a potential rejection at around 104,500. Okay, so that is my key resistance for the week. But in terms of the day trades, I already gave the 100K SFP, and above 102,000 is also something one should be aware of. That is the previous month value area high. So up here, I would also still check the reaction, see if there's going to be a short trade to be had. And those are the two bigger levels of interest for me, while the 100K level is only for a quick scalp trade, for me at least. So that is what I'm looking at in terms of the short trades. So for long trades, there is something I want to keep in the back of my head, and that is we have tested this channel for, I already mentioned that, but at least 4 times, right? So Is it a high probability trade to aim for another higher low at this level? Still keeping all that liquidity resting down here at 90,000? For me, this scenario is not the best. So while we do have some nice support at around 93,750 all the way down to 550, I'm not too interested in that scenario because overall I would prefer to, at this point, see the liquidity below 90,000 taken. Now, that doesn't mean that as a trader I cannot take advantage for if I see a nice sign of strength down here. It simply means that I'm not going to pre-plan a trade here and instead wait for new data to come in. Okay, so this is a level to be aware of, but I don't like it too much as of now. If we hit that level, I'm going to reassess and see if there's a trade to be had or not. So this 90,000 trade I already gave or explained why I'm looking at that. And there's something a little bit more locally that I would keep in mind for some day trades. And that is a nice weekly naked point of control at 96,900. So why do I like this level? Very simple. For me, this is going with local market structure, so we can clearly see prices making higher highs and higher lows on the lower time frames. So a retracement into this, let's call it 97,000 area, is still within the existing market structure. And if I look at local pulls, this is also lining up with nice price location, as I explained previously, with the 0.25 Fibonacci tool here. So we can see the 7.5 is lining up here perfectly. We have a little bit of liquidity. And even if we look at this uptrend anchored VWAP, we can expect this to rise to the upside if we spend a little bit more time up here. So in terms of long trades, there's only this one, let's just call it day trading long, I am interested in here on Bitcoin. This would aim for trend continuation. And if the 100K level is still untested, this would at least aim for 100K. So I'm going to place my alert here, and that is how I am preparing myself for trading a Bitcoin this coming week. So now let's also have a look at Ethereum, because on Ethereum we are up against a very key resistance. And if we remind ourselves, that was one of the very easy short trades that we had from this 4,100 resistance. I gave that in the group, but also on YouTube publicly. So that trade is still open. I'm still in that trade, and it has obviously had some nice take profits. But let's have a look at what Ethereum is working with next. So for that, I want to have a look at some high time frame levels. And what we can see here is that there is an untested monthly level at 3,707. So if we look at the confluence here, we can see that this is also lining up with a CC zone. So the CC will be slightly above the monthly level, but that in itself is already a major resistance. So we have a high time frame level lining up with the CC, and the CC tool obviously explains that that is a nice price location for a retracement. We've taken the previous lows, and there is also the 3,000 resting liquidity on Ethereum to be aware of. So that is a level I'm keeping a close eye on. We can see that we just hit a weekly naked point of control. For me, though, I would prefer to see the monthly hit. So I'm not yet in a short trade. I'm only in the short trade from the high. So if we drop from here, it would be a scenario of like, yeah, I missed this compound here, but nevertheless, I'm already in a short trade from the highs. But for a compound or even a new trade, I would like to see that monthly and the CC hit. So that's what I am going to wait for in terms of the short trades. In my opinion, if Ethereum claims that level, there is a good probability to see some continuation to the upside. And in my opinion, monitoring Ethereum here on that monthly can also impact Bitcoin. I know it's a very rare occasion that Ethereum is going to lead Bitcoin, but I've seen it in the past. And the only thing I want to say here is that Ethereum should be on all of our radar for the next at least week, okay? So just to see how we react at this level. And in terms of the swing long trades to the downside, nothing much has changed. I'm still looking for a liquidity grab of 3,000. We might not get it, but if we get down there, this would be a level of interest for me. But when I look at a little bit more local price action, there's already going to be something as more of the day trading side of things, and that is a previous week value area low at around 30,465. So I do really like this level, to be honest with you. I'm going to explain why, and that is obviously it's lining up with this uptrend anchored VWAP more or less, but I also like that this would test this previous supply zone. So if you follow along on my videos and my teachings inside CC, I am very focused on these supply and demand zones. And here we can see it's been supply once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Then we've seen the clean break. And now if we get a retest of that zone, I would definitely be interested in a long trade at around this zone, at least for a day trade. All right, so this is not necessarily going to be a swing trade for me, but for a day trade, that 100% is going to be an area of interest where, yeah, I would like to take a long trade if there is one presented to myself. I'm not going to preset, I'm simply making myself ready for if there is a nice reaction down there. So that is going to be more of the day trades, as I said. And then if that is lost, I'm looking towards the 3,330 level. Okay, but first I want to see that level lost. If that is lost, I'm probably going to do a public update. It's either going to be my X account or on YouTube to see how I am approaching that level down here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you could learn something from this. And if you are interested in daily updates like these, obviously we offer that on our website on chartchampions.com. So this is where we do daily updates, live trading streams, and what I recently incorporated in my daily plans is also daily altcoin picks. So I am going to analyze 5 to 6 altcoins each day, and then I'm going to post my setups in my trading channel over at Chart Champions. So I hope to see some of you over there. I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Goodbye.